Hello and welcome to the cryptocurrency news channel. So, if you want to know which coins might run up first in the bull run, we got to take a look at like the major coins that actually have institutional investment and what their inflows are for the last week. And actually, if you look at it, we have several coins. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, multi-asset, Binance, Litecoin, Solana, Polkadot, Cardano, Tron, and Ripple. Or XRP. It's really supposed to be XRP, but they still call it Ripple. This is from Daily Hold. And we have other. So they actually do classify it down by weekly flows, month-to-date flows, year-to-date flows, and basically AUM, which is like all-time essentially. So as you can see, Bitcoin is still dominant, but like this year, a lot of other coins have actually gotten in. And in fact, if you actually look at Cardano, almost all the inflows are actually this year. So realistically, if you want to pare this down, and we're going to just take out multi-asset and other because those don't really count. Multi-asset, obviously, they can have like a fund of these things, and we can actually see which funds the whales and the fat cats are buying. So, and that should give you a better idea of like at least out of the major coins, like which ones actually have a lot of institutional money in them, and these are in millions of dollars. So just this week alone, Bitcoin actually inflowed $97.5 million. This month, Bitcoin inflowed $188.9 million. For this year, Bitcoin has inflowed $6,552 million, and all time, Bitcoin has inflowed over $55 billion in terms of AUM. Now, weekly, monthly, and yearly inflows can kind of tell you a little bit about how hot this coin is at the present moment. For instance, Ethereum has inflowed $17.3 million this week, $49.4 million this month. Year to date, $1,159 million or $1.1 billion this year, and $20 billion overall. So if you actually look at the ratio of Bitcoin, Ethereum to Bitcoin, compared to their overall and the year-to-date inflows, this year the Ethereum inflows have actually been kind of small compared to other years. Likewise, weekly inflows and monthly inflows, this week is pretty much average, maybe a little bit below the average for the month, because the month to date basically just means that it's only been 2 weeks, and 17.3 is quite a bit less than 49.4. So this week was kind of a low week. Year to date, obviously, for 11 months, you're talking about $100 million a month for Ethereum, but obviously you only look at 50 million so far this month. This month is only halfway through. You double this month. Essentially, you're about average this month. But if you actually look down the numbers and you look at Cardano, you have $16.4 million weekly inflows, and that almost equals Ethereum and is quite a bit above everything else. Month-to-date inflows, 21.4, but 16.4 is actually significantly more than half of 21.4. Year-to-date, 108. Of course, month-to-date, if you double this, you get 42. So this month is going to be 40% of all this year's inflows. So Cardano is really picking up steam. Obviously, AUM's 109, so pretty much all the money in Cardano has actually come this year. So investors are just basically, institutional investors are basically jumping a lot into Cardano, and it's all been fairly recently. So fairly recently, Cardano has actually gained the confidence of many investors. What it's done to gain the confidence, maybe it's Gogan, I don't really know. Whereas if you look at Solana, yes, overall and even year-to-date inflows, it's actually bigger than Cardano. But month-to-date inflows, Cardano beats it, and week-to inflows, Cardano beats it as well. So right now, while Solana has more overall institutional investment than Cardano, I bet a lot of you didn't actually know that, and that's probably why Solana's gained so much market cap. And Cardano has actually outpaced it in the last few months in terms, at least this month, and probably last month too, in terms of institutional inflows. But however, Solana is still very, very strong, being number 4 out of all these. Solana and Cardano basically outpace all the rest of them, besides the multi-asset one. And you can see the multi-asset one has definitely come down in the last 2 months as people are actually more focused on single assets like Cardano or like Solana. Tron is actually an interesting one. People actually took more money out of Tron than they actually put in this week, but monthly inflows, it's actually a lot. I don't know if this is Justin Sun just doing this himself, because this is really weird, because there's actually negative inflows for Tron this week, but the monthly inflow is pretty much in fourth place behind Cardano and above Solana. Year-to-date inflows, you can actually see like it's actually fairly small. If you doubled this month's inflows, it'd be more than half. And AUM, obviously, everything is this year as well. That's not surprising because if you actually look at AUM for a lot of stuff, a lot of like funds just started investing in crypto this year, so that's not really all that surprising. Whereas if you look like, so Tron, at least like for the weekly, is actually on the downward trend, whereas Cardano is on the upward trend for like pretty much every time period. Solana is always also on the upward trend for every time period. Litecoin, as you can see, is more of a downward trend. All time 434, year to date 90, which isn't too bad, but month to date 1.9, and week inflows, no weekly inflows. So Litecoin is actually losing institutional money. Basically like in the last month or two probably. And most of the money put into Litecoin by institutions is not actually this year. Only like less than a fourth of it is this year. Same thing with Binance. Like there are very little institutional inflows from Binance, but the overall AUM is still pretty large. That makes a lot of sense because Binance has had a lot of legal trouble this year, and a lot of institutions are probably just not buying Binance. Surprisingly, no one's actually taking their money out of Binance, so it still has a net positive of $6 million year to date. If it wasn't for the institution, if it wasn't for the like legal trouble in every single jurisdiction, Binance would probably have a lot more. So Ripple at the end is actually, if you take out the multi-asset, it's the last of the coins they actually mentioned, and most of the inflows is actually this year. If you look at AUM's only 87 million. Total AUM is only 87 million. Year to date 60, month to date's 5.6, and weekly flows 3.1. So they're kind of like averaging out. It's not like they picked up a lot of steam lately, but they really haven't like dropped steam. So the thing is like interesting is like Tron actually has about as much as XRP does in terms of institutional investment, which I didn't really think that was the case. I didn't think any institutions invested in Tron. Cardano before this year was like way below all of them, but now it's jumped above Tron and Ripple. Polkadot actually had more institutional investment last year than Cardano, but Cardano is quickly catching up to Polkadot. Solana actually already had $80 million in inflows before last year, which would have actually put it pretty high up. Litecoin is losing money. Binance is basically holding stable. Bitcoin and Ethereum are gaining, but not, like they don't have as much dominance as they used to, because it used to be all Bitcoin, and then it was just Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now all these other coins are actually getting in. So realistically, if you look at institutional inflows, the ones that are actually hot this year are actually Solana, Polkadot, and Cardano. Tron and Ripple, like they didn't have that much action, at least in the last couple of months. And it doesn't look like people are actually excited about those two right now. But right now, definitely like Cardano, like short-term wise, people are the most excited about, and then Solana and Polkadot are doing okay as well. Ethereum and Bitcoin obviously still have the most flows, but the thing is like they're the top two dominant coins. And just the fact that like Cardano is almost equal to Ethereum this week is pretty good news for Cardano. I do expect more money to pour in as we get ready for the launch of the ecosystem. Solana will probably attract investment as well because it has a working ecosystem, and it will continue to get more projects. So that's kind of an interesting look at what institutions and fat cats are actually buying right now. And it's a good way to actually kind of craft your own plan around what they're actually buying and looking at like the trending, what's hot among institutions right now, which is not the same thing as retail investors. As you can see, there are no Dogecoin. They're like Dogecoin and Shiba Inu do not really make this list. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think, like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.